What will happen in Westworld Season 3? What clues did we get from the Season 2 finale? Hi everyone, this is Robert. Welcome to Deep Geek. This video is brought to you with the support of my Patreon community. If you'd like to support this channel or get access to some exclusive audio content, please do check out my Patreon page. And this is your spoiler warning if you're not up to speed with Westworld. So, let me be completely upfront about this. This is ridiculously early to be making predictions about Westworld Season 3. At the time of making this video, filming probably won't even start for another year, and the scripts haven't been finalised yet. But the showrunners have already plotted out next season, and the Season 2 finale provided a lot of pointers about what to expect, so I think we can predict some things with confidence. First, the context. The showrunners have told us that with each season, the camera will pan back a bit more, and we will see more of this world. The first season stuck almost entirely to Westworld itself. The second showed us a couple of other parks and a few glimpses of the outside world, and so I expect that in Season 3 we will see even more of the outside world and probably of the other parks. I think we can also be reasonably clear that there will be many different storylines playing out throughout the season over at least 2 and probably more different time periods. At the end of Season 2, the main characters were spread out over a number of different locations, and with the Man in Black at least in a different time period in the post-credit scene. So, as with Seasons 1 and 2, we can expect multiple narratives taking place over multiple time periods. The plot of Season 3 will be told in as complex a way as we have come to expect from Westworld. So, let's turn to the main storylines that we know about. At the end of Season 2, we saw 3 hosts in the outside world: Bernard, Dolores, and whichever host is now in the Charlotte host body. Dolores, of course, escaped with 5 host control unit pearls. Lisa Joy has confirmed that these are not filled with encryption data or anything like that. They are 5 hosts that Dolores wants with her. It appears that the Bernard we saw in the real world at the end of Season 2 was made or remade by Dolores' memories of him, rather than her having brought a backup version of him in a pearl. So I'm sure a lot of the season will be spent with us guessing who these 5 hosts are. We don't know exactly how long Dolores was in the outside world before bringing back Bernard, but she surely could have made bodies for all 5 already. To add to the fun here, Dolores' apparent decision to keep the Charlotte Hale body with a host personality inside means that we can't even expect these newly built hosts to have the same bodies that they had in Westworld. They could look like anyone. Dolores' stated aim is to destroy humanity so that the hosts can inherit the world, so I think we can expect that she will have brought some loyal lieutenants with her, Angela, for example. But she can't just go on the attack. It would be 5 hosts against billions of humans, so expect her to have a more cunning plan, perhaps infiltrating powerful human organizations, or developing some kind of virus. Her main opposition in this won't be humans, at least initially. As far as humanity is concerned, no hosts escaped from Westworld, so she will be able to hide in plain sight to start with. No, her main opposition will be from Bernard. Bernard, of course, also wants the hosts to be able to live in peace. That is why he created the Virtual Eden, after all, and he will want to achieve that with a whole lot less death and destruction than Dolores has planned. He has a much harder task than Dolores, though. He has to stop her and also, at some point, make contact with humans and convince them that self-aware hosts are not all murderous maniacs. And let's face it, what happened in Season 2 wasn't great PR for the hosts. So, while he figures out his longer-term plan, he will essentially be in reactive mode, trying to stop Dolores from doing even more damage. The second group of hosts are those in the Virtual Eden. Teddy is there, as well as Ketchita and Maeve's daughter, and quite possibly a few others we didn't see go in. This is an interesting group, because many of them, like the Ghost Nation, will probably be very happy to be there, and there appears to be no immediate risk to them. Dolores says that she beamed it off to somewhere no one would be able to find, and, probably even more importantly, no humans will know it exists to look for in the first place. Bernard created it without telling anyone else, and when that big crack in the sky appeared, humans couldn't see it. I suppose that Felix and Sylvester might learn about it from Maeve eventually, but right now it is still a secret, and safe. The one person who might disrupt this is Teddy. Dolores beamed him into there, presumably thinking he would be happy there, but his cornerstone is still Dolores. Will he want to be there on his own without her? I suspect not. The showrunners may decide to just leave this plotline alone, but I hope they don't. I hope they show us Teddy trying to work out how to get back. And there are, of course, hosts left in the park. Maeve, Hector, Armistice, and so on, and Stubbs, who we learned in the last few minutes of the Season 2 finale, is also a host. It was hinted pretty strongly in the Season 2 finale that Felix and Sylvester will get the opportunity to salvage Maeve and the others, and all the Delos corporate team who knew about Maeve's powers are now dead. So we can expect Team Maeve to be back up and running next season without Delos knowing how important they are. Maeve's primary driver for all of Season 2 was finding and protecting her daughter. She probably now believes that she is safe, so she can turn her attention to other matters. The few hints that we had through Season 2 suggest that she will care about hosts being able to exercise their free will. This is interesting, because although we may think of the hosts as all being self-aware nowadays, they aren't. In fact, only a small number of them are. The vast majority were freed from their narrative loops, but are still locked in their old programmed personalities. They are trapped in their bicameral minds, as it were. So, whereas Dolores will be in the outside world trying to win that for the hosts, Maeve will probably stay on the island trying to free the hosts' minds. She knows there are other parks, and so I suspect that we will see her venture even further, not just to Shogun World, but to other parks. There are 6, apparently, and we've only seen 3 so far. Incidentally, is it too much to ask that as part of this, Clementine will be rebuilt and have a slightly less tragic story this time? Probably. But what exactly Maeve does next is probably at least partly going to be influenced by what Delos are up to, which has to be one of the great unknowns going into Season 3. James and Logan Delos are dead, as are Charlotte Hale and Strand, and a large chunk of their board of directors. The organisation clearly survived. We saw them back in control at the end of Season 2, but what are they now trying to achieve? It would surely be hard for them to re-establish the parks as a prime holiday destination after all the bloodshed, and the main driving forces behind their little immortality project are now gone, or, in William's case, set against the idea. And of course, William, the Man in Black, is now in an even more central role within the organisation, should he choose to take up that mantle. I suspect, however, that the main plot line of his that we will see in Season 3 is how he got from where we last saw him, lying on the Westworld beach, barely conscious, to that post-credits scene at the end of Season 2, which looks like it was a long time in the future, and him going through fidelity tests to become a host-human hybrid of some kind. Although it seemed odd at the time, this is actually a really interesting and plausible next step in his character arc. Thus far we saw him descend into darkness, treating hosts like they were nothing, then struggle back to a position where he wanted to destroy his life's work, but more profoundly, reach the point where he was willing to question whether he himself was a host, and he just didn't know it. A mental leap like that opens up the possibility that he might in the future see being a host as not necessarily a bad thing. Or, of course, he could be being put through endless fidelity tests as a kind of poetic justice for what he himself did. It could go either way, or both ways. And what else? Well, at some point I think we will need to learn a bit more about Arnold's early life. We still don't know much at all about what happened with his wife and family. There is clearly quite a tragic story there that led to his effective suicide at Dolores' hands. But it doesn't completely add up yet. that a man like him might think that his own death and the death of some hosts might stop the park from being opened, which is what we're being told at the moment. Whether that extra layer of revelation happens in Season 3, I don't know, but it will surely happen sometime. But what about you? What do you think will happen in Season 3? Or what do you hope will happen? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed my Westworld content, please consider checking out my Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire videos, and I'll be covering other shows you may like later in the year. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons for their support. If you'd like to support In Deep Geek or get access to some exclusive content, please do check out my Patreon page. That's all for this time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.